Hi, I'm Amanda Van Hoosier, and I'm here at Bishop Hill Farm Flowers in my studio in Old Town Coppell, Texas. Today I want to talk to you about why buy local flowers that are locally grown, and also I'm going to make a bouquet so you can see how that is, and then I'm also going to talk to you about how to care for your flowers. So some of the best designers in the whole world are those that are unique. They try to find unusual and interesting textures and shapes and colors and the different kinds of flowers varieties that make them different and make them stand out. A lot of the European designers do a lot of wild lots of loose designs, and then there is here in the United States, there's some great designers out of California and New York and even Dallas. So I wanted to share with you why I started growing local flowers. First of all, I'm a grower, and I also have enjoyed flowers, and in the 70s I thought I would like to take my grandparents' farm, which they were moving off of in Ohio, not Texas, and grow cut flowers. I didn't do that. Life got in my way, of course, and when I retired I decided now's a good time for me to apply all the skills I've learned through community gardens, farmers markets, and also in growing and teaching classes to be able to grow my own cut flowers on my own cut flower farm. And my grandparents' name was Bishop, so that's why we called it Bishop Hill. Well, and their farm was called Bishop Hill. So I'm going to get into it right away. Why grow and enjoy locally grown flowers? Well, the thing is that they are fresh. They have just been cut in the last few days. Now I'm going to compare this to industry standard type flowers, which are globally shipped. So they say flown, not grown. And they are grown, but they're grown on the equator, along, where there's long daylight, but also where there is not so many regulations about the chemicals that they use on the flowers. They can erect big greenhouses. The workers actually wear hazmat suits because of the amount of chemicals that they're using. It's not fair for the workers. They're not paid a living wage. And so what American-grown flowers do is provide jobs, economy, local economy, and they also provide these fresh flowers that don't take a lot of plane or cargo on ships to move them, trucks to move them to all the grocery stores. They can be just locally centered and be within maybe 100 miles, 150 miles of where you're buying your flowers from. And also, it's not just saving energy, the sustainability side of it is there's less waste, and especially with, of course, the flowers, because when there was the pandemic started in March, all of the flowers globally were dumped. And it was like bulldozers moving flowers into a waste system. And that was the cause of the ports being closed and not accepting anything from outside the United States. A lot of the weddings were being closed and dropped, so there was very few flowers during that time. My sales, other local farmer sales, actually blossomed at that time because everybody was looking for flowers. So that was last spring. I'm ramping up. A lot of the flower farmers are ramping up. So if you don't live, I sell at the Coppell Farmers Market on Saturdays. And if you're not close to here, there are other flower farmers at other farmers markets. St. Michael's has Ever Bloom Fields, and Mars Hill sells at Grow Local Markets over in Garland. On Garland Road, and also Skyflower Farm is already signed up to start Valentine's Day over in Lakewood at the Good Local Market. So these are other flower farmers that are producing really wonderful flowers, and so you don't have to buy from me. I'm just promoting locally grown. And so the thing I want to do today is show you what I have right now. It is the beginning of February, and really I have harvested all of what you see in front of me. I do have my farm on a creek, so I have the creek to forage from. I have found some wonderful long needle pine, which looks striking in a bouquet. I also started a bunch of pussy willows in the last 3 or 4 years, and they're about ready to open up with those little soft little on their stem. But I also really enjoy the color. And then I also have the anonymous, and it is the Silver King. See the back of the leaf is a silvery look. So I start my bouquets, and I'm going to do one in the hand. I really like to work with my hands versus putting a vase. I do arrangements in vases for like flowers for a friend, but I feel comfortable doing these market bouquets, which I do every week, and actually I'm preparing for market right now. So I just keep crossing these over. If you can see, I've crossed the stems, and then I take a turn of 180 degrees. So I'm getting like the bones or the skeleton for the bouquet. I'm also going to show you some berries. I like to use berries because berries have an unusual texture for bouquets. And right now, this is coral berry. I have a native plant drought-tolerant landscape at my home, and so for 30 years I've been growing a lot of the natives. So these came from native plant rescues that I used to go on with the Native Plant Society. So if you want to know more about native plants, you can go to smartscape.com. And if you're trying to put in some native plants, they have a wonderful database for right here in North Texas. So you can see how these berries are already starting to lean out and give a nice movement to this bouquet. The other thing I like to use is bee balm or bergamot. Bee balm is green in the summer, but right now, because it's been freezing, and notice, it's been freezing. I don't cover any of this. This can make it through the winter. But look at the burgundy colors that have coming out, kind of matching up with the coral berry. So I'm going to put some of this in just for extra color, but also what we call green fill or greenery. But it also adds interest. I'm always about interest. I'm going to stick this. I always have some vases for little shorties because I'll make those later. Now I do have some ornamental kale growing, so I'm going to place this anemone right up in here. And I'm going to start with, because I do only have the anemones as flowers and also stalk, and a little bit of narcissus, which is like a daffodil bulb. The stalk and the anemones were planted back in October. So you can see, actually the end of September, so you can see what they can do growth in the winter without even being covered. I brought in a little bit of this purple because we seem to have some purple in here. And really, I do start with the taller. I call these the spikes. And spikes tend to give you a little bit of height to the whole, and I'm going to put this over here. I should have turned it in my hand. Going to turn it and bring it in right along here, kind of along the back of this Dusty Miller, because I don't want it to cover it up. So I'm going to bring it out and bring the stalk up as far as I can. I'm kind of watching my stems down here, but at the end we'll just cut those off straight. So how would you harvest these anemones? You wait until the head is standing up a little bit, not like bowing, and then there's a collar on with the leaves, and right out of the collar comes a little stem. This stem is actually a little bit long because I have harvested them to let them open before market, but usually I harvest them when it's about a 1/4 inch away from the collar. So that's kind of gives you an idea of what how to harvest them if you're ever growing them. I would say they're all possible to grow in your landscape if you are a gardener. You start with corms, but you got to find those corms early because there's a lot of flower farmers right now that are trying to get to the corms before, like in May. So they're not shipped until September, but it kind of gives you an idea of how many people want them. And I would suggest that this year seeds, bulbs, any of the gardening. Any gardening is actually going to be harder to get because more people are gardening, which is a good thing. So I'm also going to put in this maroon. It's kind of called Marron Bordeaux. It is a really dark, beautiful flower, and I would say it needs to go right there, so with a little dark space. And then I also have this purple anemone that is kind of pastel purple, but it's going to go with this and also with the ornamental kale. So I'm going to also put this right up in here. And you don't want to crowd it too much. I like to have space with green fill between the flowers because it makes each flower stand out a little bit more. Here's one of the maroon that are blooming a little bit more, opening a little bit more. And, you know, I'm going to kind of weave this in here, but, you know, really you shouldn't do that because it could hurt the stems. But when you look down straight on it, you want to also have a really good look. So I have some that are not quite open, and I always like to add those because let's say you take this home and you put it in your vase. Well, over time, some of them are opening, and then some of them are waiting and being a surprise. And I like to have those surprises come on for people who get my bouquets. You know, they may even take 7 days before they open, and that is the good thing about local flowers is how long they last in a vase. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to probably stop right there. Maybe something right here. You see there's a need for something. And I have a pink, but I don't think pink is going to go with this one. I would say another pastel. So I'm going to place that right in here, right up close to this Dusty Miller. So you can see what this looks like. I'm going to move these off, and then I'm going to show you how you can extend a bouquet. Let's say you're going to get a bouquet for Valentine's Day. Okay, it's coming from a grocery store, it's coming from a florist, but what I would do is open it up and try to extend it, put it in some other vases, enjoy it, play with it, because this is your chance to get some flowers in your hands. And I really think everyone needs to hold a flower and take a look at it and enjoy. So I'm going to pull this vase over here. Now I'm going to talk about how to care for your flowers when you get them. Now, because I have these stems that are different heights, I'm going to just cut them all off so that they're all matching going into the water. And then I look at it really closely to make sure there are no stems that are way up here, because if I put it in water to here, those stems wouldn't be in water. So you have to make sure that all of it is even at the bottom. Now for local flowers, you really don't have to trim the bottoms because they weren't in a box, in packing, in plastic, shipped for a week or more to get to the store, sitting in the store in other water. And sometimes they're just not washing those vases well enough. So there's no really need to recut the flowers unless you want to do it maybe after a week. So you take your vase, and I'm going to tell you, a lot of people who come and buy my flowers 1 week, the next week they come by and they say, my flowers still look good. So that's a week later, and it's like, that's not a very good sales thing for me, but it is, because people like to have flowers that last more than a day or two before they start drooping. And here's one of the secrets that I know. You take a vase out of the cupboard, out of the top of the shelf. You haven't used it for a while. It's your favorite vase, but the last time you didn't get it good and clean. So there may be a line, a water line, maybe hard water line, or there may be a little bit of leaves in the bottom, and you go, oh, I'll blow it out and fill it with water. It'll be fine. If you're composting, you also know that bacteria grows very fast, and bacteria is, for flower stems, is really hard on the blooms. So you want this as clean as you can. I use a dishwater soap. I have a bottle brush, and I make sure I brush all the bottom, all the sides, and rinse it out. And then sometimes I even do like a vinegar rinse to make sure that we're ready to put in flowers. I just use regular water, tap water, because I feel like tap water is already got a little bit of chlorine in it, and I feel like it can hold flowers. These flowers are not used to chemicals. They're not. I do not put anything on it that isn't organic, and so you realize that when you're getting flowers that are shipped, which is 80% of the flowers in the United States are from outside of the United States. Well, they've got to fumigate all of those to bring them into the United States to kill off all pests, because a USDA doesn't want those pests here in the United States, foreign coming in. So I encourage you to just use plain water, and then you can just put it down. And now if I was going to do this for market, I grab a rubber band and I band the bottom. And I'm going to band the bottom just because I'm not wanting to lose the bottom of this. Because sometimes it fits in a vase a little bit better if it's, well, it's not going to because of all that little, the ornamental kale is a little low, so it's not wanting to fit in the vase. So I'm going to pull him out and go ahead and put it like this, and then I'm going to slide it in on the side and make sure it's in the water. So clean vase, all stems in the water. Now what do? The best thing for your flowers is to keep them in the cool part of your house. I would not set them under a space heater or a heater vent that's blowing heat on them. Realize a lot of flowers that are coming in have been refrigerated, and so they're not used to even your home temperatures. I don't refrigerate my flowers because I'm just picking and selling at market. But the other thing is you don't want to take this and put it straight in the sunny window, because when the sun shines on it, it also makes the flowers think that they're going to finish off and make seed. So the best thing is to put it in kind of a section of your house that's cool, dry, and also not in straight sun. And then what you can do is keep an eye on the water. Make sure in the beginning that is sucking up a lot of water because they're hydrating. And then a lot of people don't watch the water and the water goes down. So this way we're actually getting the water up to where it is going to always be in water. And then when you do that, you can pull them sideways, empty it out, swish some new water in there, empty it out again, and then put clean water back in it. I'd say every other day, just kind of keep an eye on it. I like to have my flowers in the kitchen so I can see them. I also have a little vase that I keep by my bathroom sink because it's really nice with the mirror there. It gives a nice feel. And you're in your bathroom and your kitchen, maybe the most. A lot of people put their flowers on the dining room, but they never go back in their dining room. And then they come back and they've all dried out. And they're like, oh, I forgot I had my flowers in there. So have them someplace where you're walking around a lot. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a bouquet. I would say this is going to the market. I probably will do a few more fluffs to it because I was talking and doing it. But I would like to give you a chance to learn more about local flowers, come visit me. You can find me on Instagram, Bishop Hill Farm Flowers, on Instagram, Facebook. I also have a website where I have a shop, and you can pre-order flowers, and you can also pick them up at my farm on the weekdays when you pre-order. So enjoy. So today I covered how to care for your flowers, and also what are the benefits of locally grown flowers. And we made a bouquet with a lot of different varieties of fill green spikes to make an arrangement to put in a vase. And then we went carefully through how to care for your flowers in a way that will make them longer lasting.